guys, we are back with another episode of The Breakthrough, and today we are joined with our friend Maria, who is an Intuitive Empathic Healer.
Woo!
So,
mouthful.
Open up your minds, because this is going to be an awesome interview, and we're going to pick her brain all about her powerful abilities. So,
Yeah.
let's get in.
So will you just give us a little bit about what you do and how you like to be represented?
So I consider myself a clairvoyant, and I'm an empath. I feel other people's emotions. I have clairaudience. I can hear, but it's not with my physical senses. There's like supernatural senses. So for me, I help people, and one of the main things I do is I help people connect the dots in their lives. A lot of my clients they've experienced some sort of a trauma, and I help them understand why things are the way they are in their lives, so that they can go about changing them, right? So I'm also an energy healer. I do Reiki. Reiki is relatively new to me. I've been using energy my whole life. I've been helping people heal since I was 9 years old.
Wow, 9 years old.
9.
How come since 9?
9 years old. Wow.
What happened when you were 9?
I feel like that's the age.
9?
Yeah. Well, when
people realize?
intuitive, and they
Okay.
kind of start.
So when I was 7, so I come from a long line of, I would say, seers. And
What's a seer?
a seer is someone who, someone who uses their third eye, someone who's able to see. For me, I see the past, the future, the present. And so biologically, that's how I was born. I was born with a cowl, C-A-U-L, that's over my face. And oftentimes those children have abilities. Right? It's like a mask over the child's face.
Yeah.
And so when I was 7 years old, this is how I discovered that I had abilities. I was 7 years old, was on vacation, went back to Guyana, where I was born, in South America. And I was being nosy, and I wanted to see what was inside my aunt's suitcase. It was one of those old-time suitcases, the metal closure. And I opened it, and I had no idea how to close it. And so I just wished that it would close. And I just turned away, and I turned back, and it closed. And I always remember that, even though I wasn't sure that happened the way I thought it happened, until later on the same thing would happen.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it was confirmed for me that, oh, okay, that's that thing that happened to me when I was 7 years old. Right? And so then I realized, oh, that's telekinesis. That's what that is, right?
So what's telekinesis? Is that where...
The ability to move things with
Without
your mind, right? Wow. So it was, I don't know, I think it was 2014 or 15 or so. I was on my bed, and I walked my room, and I had on these boots, and I kind of like twisted it. I didn't keep it straight, and I was being, A-type personality. I was like, oh, I wish that I had, I'd straightened my shoes when I came in. And I was just in the bed. I was exhausted, and I didn't move. And then I remember closing my eyes, and I opened my eyes, and then my shoes were straight, or the boots were straight. And I was like, oh, that's that thing again. I called my friend in New York, and I was like, remember that thing I told you that happened to me when I was like 7 years old?
Oh my God.
It happened again.
What?
So those are some of the things that I've experienced. One of the most interesting experiences I've had is, again, I was working at a job. I lived in Rhode Island, and I remember sitting there at the front desk, and I saw two employees sitting across this atrium, this large atrium, and sitting across there, and I could see she's wearing this flowery dress. They're sitting having lunch, and I look over, and this is gonna sound really strange, and I own this.
We're used to it. So we've had all sorts.
Okay, I looked over, and between the women were two fairies. Yeah, they actually exist somewhere in the universe. So I look over, and I see, and I cannot believe I'm saying this on air, but okay, this is the truth. I'm going to continue. So, and I see two fairies, and I see they're sprinkling dust on her, and I'm like, and I look over, I'm like, what is that? And I see her in a wedding dress. The dress that she's wearing suddenly changed to a wedding dress, and I said, okay, and I could feel and sense that she is dating someone within the company. I could feel it, right? So anyway, her coworker, who knows me and knew my abilities, kind of says, she comes over and I'm like, that's interesting. She's like, I'm gonna tell her to call you. She calls me, and then from her calling me, I give her lots and lots of information, books of information of all this stuff. Yes, you're gonna get married. Yes, he's gonna ask you. And she would say, but I don't know if it's, I'm like, excuse me, you're making my job really hard. I'm telling you it's gonna happen. Don't confuse it. So, but what's interesting is that she has a relationship with fairies. She has a relationship with it. So do you see how it came through?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so she's like, that's interesting that you saw fairies, because I have a special relationship with fairies. Whether it was I collect things and I could, so
it was like a specific detail that she
understood.
That she can then validate that you're the real deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally believe in things like that.
I do too.
One of my best friends, Anna, when I went back home to see her in England, she was telling me that when she went away a few weeks ago to Bali with her sister, there was this incredible woman there, and the woman could see this Tinkerbell thing constantly for her sister Jenny, which is a very personal thing to her sister. And she kept saying this Tinkerbell. Then they went to someone else, and this very, very powerful lady and healer, and she just looked at Jenny. This is Anna's sister. And she had found it, or obviously found it earlier on the day, and when she'd finished the healing or the session, she went, I've got a little gift for you. I actually found it, but I know it's for you. And it was a little Tinkerbell keyring. In the same day, two different healers, and it's her sign, it's her thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
It's a symbol.
It's a way to connect. So I believe that part of what I do is sometimes we lose faith. Sometimes we are young and something happens and we have a loss or something traumatic happens to us and we lose faith in the higher power, in God, whatever higher power someone perceives a higher power to be. Yeah. And oftentimes what I notice is that when I meet people and I will give them information that I shouldn't have, really. I don't know them, and I don't know their family, and I don't know their history. But I will say something to them, and then they come to understand that, there's something bigger than us. Yeah. Right? Because
you restore their faith because of all that.
Yes, and so their faith gets restored, and so that's just part of their journey. So for me, one of the things I do is I've always felt that there's just something very special about accompanying someone on their journey. And so for me, that's how I view myself. I accompany them on their journey. So I was working at a law firm, temping, and I remember, working the night shift or something, and someone introduced me to this writer. He's long passed, but and I shook his hand, and oftentimes when I shake someone's hand, I realize that I could feel things from people that they know, that I don't necessarily know, but I get messages. And I remember being introduced to him, and so I was my given name when I was born was Wanda Maria Ann Williams. And so I've long gotten rid of the Wanda because it just didn't feel like it belonged to me. So I remember because this coworker used to call me, the way he would say my name in a southern accent, and it would just sounded so sweet. And and so I remember him being introduced to him, and when I went home that night, he was out of work for a week, like he was gone. Just didn't come back to work until the next week. And I remember seeing him sitting on an examination table, and I'm watching this, right? This is a vision I'm seeing. He's on the examination table. The doctor's wearing a white coat, and I could feel the doctor saying that you have a year to live. Get your things in order. And so I knew that what I saw, that was what he had a year to live. He didn't know me. We didn't have any personal conversations. He just shook his hand. And then I realized it's because of the handshake that I sensed this. So a week later, he comes back, and I'm sitting like all the way over in the corner, and I'm just like looking at him like this. I'm just like, because I'm trying to figure out how do I go over and say something to him, right? And I'm just like staring at him, watching him kind of move around. And I'm just like looking. And so I walk over to him and I say, I know. And he says, what do you mean? What are you going about his business? Like, what do you mean? What do you know? I said, I know. And he's like, okay. And I said, I know you have a year to live, and I'm sorry. And there was a chair sitting, chairs behind him, positioned behind him. And it's a good thing the chair was there, because he kind of just like slumped down on the chair because he couldn't believe what I was saying to him. I mean,
so he already knew.
That's exactly what the doctor told him. But the fact that I knew kind of like shocked him, because there's no way I would have known. But I heard it clearly. I saw it and I heard. I can tell what the doctor was saying to him. I could feel. And he's like, how did you know that? How could you possibly know that? I'm just coming back today. How? And so I said, you know, I know things sometimes. And I saw you in your exam, and I saw the doctor. I felt the doctor telling you that.
Like, if you can use your gifts and tell the world something, anything in the world, if you could put something on a billboard, what would you want the world to know?
You know, I think I'd probably say, and I know that everyone has there's some people that are afraid of their gifts, but I would say embrace them. I would say embrace your gifts. It's part of who you are. It's part of your makeup. It's a gift that can help. It can help you and help others. But I really, even to the youngest children that I meet, you know, when I meet children and I can tell that they have abilities. I often say to parents to don't just allow them to be who they are, and
no matter how far-fetched it seems,
yeah,
or how crazy,
you know, if your daughter is talking to if your daughter's talking to her grandfather and your grandfather's passed away, she's talking to her grandfather. It's okay. Stay away from the words like crazy or that's, you know, just try to normalize it for them if you're open to that. And I really encourage parents to not cause their children to feel as though something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because that can be more damaging. That can shut down their use of their abilities, when really it's a wonderful part of who they are. And so yeah, so I would say embrace it.
Awesome.
Cool. I hope that you guys learned some wonderful things from listening to Maria, and just maybe opened your eyes to the fact that there's wonderful magical gifts out there to, you know, that we don't always understand, or some people don't necessarily believe in, but another
doesn't mean
living
they're not
proof.
real.
Yeah, exactly. Living proof that everything is just energy.
Yeah.
And that there's so much that can be done with the power of belief and intuition.
Yeah.